Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by the Movie Hangout. Well, Rotten Tomatoes is attacking Marvel fans yet again. So, Rotten Tomatoes has a history of actually Rotten Tomatoes used to be really good. It was a reliable source where you could actually go with no studio influence at all. It was just like people that love movies that were critics and the audience, and they would just rate if a film was decent or not, and that way you could either go or save your money. So it was a really good resource. Well, now Rotten Tomatoes is owned by Warner Brothers, so the tentacles of the movie studios are deep into Rotten Tomatoes. And with that, anytime a big entity is involved, there's going to be tons of repression and censorship, and this is a great example. So, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, there's two scores. There is the critic score, and then there is the want to see score. Now, the want to see score, Rotten Tomatoes, is not the score that people give when they've actually seen it. Okay, that's just if they want to see it. That's why it's called want to see question mark. Well, of course, because of Brie Larson and just Disney's behavior, mostly Brie Larson's behavior, just all the ridiculous things she says about identity politics and all this other garbage, people don't want to see it. They don't like her. And if the lead actor in a movie is unlikable, they're just not a likable person at all, and they say really stupid things, then you're not going to want to buy the product. If the person pitching the product sucks, then you're not going to buy the product. So, anyways, Rotten Tomatoes allows people to rate if they want to see this. Now, you don't get to do the critic score, be a part of that, but you get to be a part of the want to see because we're part of the audience here. Rotten Tomatoes is deleting user reviews. So, user just comments on their site, and they're also trying to manipulate their want to see score right here. Let's go over to this article. It's hilarious. It's on Inverse, which I don't know. I don't know who comes up with these things, but these websites. But Captain Marvel review bombing. Rotten Tomatoes removes toxic reviews. I mean, the buzzword here is toxic. That's the latest buzzword that you see on all the websites and you hear from people on television. Because if you leave a negative comment, it's not critical because you're a critic. It's toxic, like you're poisonous or something. So, okay, this article written by Eric Francisco. What you take that for whatever it is. It says some cited comic book movie fatigue or critiqued early trailers, but others target the film's star, Brie Larson. Well, obviously, because she's the main character, and its presumed message of female empowerment. Princess Leia was a strong female, and that came out over 30 years ago. Star Wars. Nobody critiqued her for being a sour person at all. She was awesome. Uh, Several even implicated violence. Okay, I haven't seen any of that. Quote, you could not pay me to see this SJW-laden, white, male-hating, worthless PO piece of shit movie. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. Commented one user, I am sick of this identity politics taking over pop culture. Brie Larson could get hit by a bus and I would not shed a tear. Okay, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say anybody getting hit by a bus is a good thing. So I wouldn't say the last part. This comment and others like it have already been removed by Rotten Tomatoes, which has made a practice removing offensive user reviews. Okay, so, and they're citing here Black Panther as well. All right, the term offensive is just so relative because what's offensive to me is going to be different than what is offensive to you. What is offensive to dear Francisco here? And it's all relative. It's like, what do you think is pretty? What do you think is ugly? It's different, varying degrees from person to person. So, what I think is offensive may be really heartwarming to somebody else who's really different than me. So obviously the getting hit by the bus part, okay, I can see something there. Now the person didn't say she should get hit by a bus. They're just giving a hypothetical here. So that's kind of a stretch saying that that's like threatening violence because they're really not. But for Rotten Tomatoes to go on and then delete people's comments just because they disagree with it, and then putting it under the banner of hate speech and being offensive is ridiculous. And this is a pattern that we're seeing online now. All the people that were telling us to be tolerant for years are now that they got the power, now their fingers on the button, they're the most intolerant people you ever encounter. So on this article, Francisco here is really upset. And what he's upset about is, if you look right here, this is what the Rotten Tomatoes looks like. You got the poster. This is where the critics will be reviewing it once it's released. And then the 1 to see is what the general public can rate. He's upset at the 53%. Okay, there's tons of movies that are less than 53%. Okay, now there aren't a lot of movies, barely if any, that get as much money put into them as Captain Marvel that have a 53% or lower 1 to see. But in general, most movies are not very good that are made every year and do get less than that. So, it's like if somebody has a lot of money, you have to like them type of thought. And I just think it's ridiculous. But he's upset about 53%. Okay, so let's go over to Rotten Tomatoes right now. This is a few days later right now. Okay, so let's go over here. Okay, this is the updated Rotten Tomatoes, 31%. Now it's at 31%. So we went down from 53% down to 31%. So, okay, I'm not a math genius here, but I'm going to say that is a 22% drop in just a couple days. I'm interested to see if this thing gets down to 20% by the end of February. I would not be surprised. The movie's supposed to come out in March, and I am only guessing the more we see Brie Larson, the more we hear her just speak candidly about politics and other types of things, this is going to drop. This will drop because people don't want to hear about identity politics. They don't want to hear, and what identity politics is, it's telling people they have to behave in a way that coincides with their race, their gender, their religion, their economic level, all these little categories the leftists create, and then they stick people in. And it's just a way of kind of segregating people. If anything, these people should be called segregationists because that's what they do. They kind of siphon people off from one another, and then they tell them what they're supposed to do, and then they demean them. So apparently she's a pretty big accolade in that, or acolyte in that. So yeah, right now it's at 31%. Do you think it's going to be lower than that? Do you think that this is going to get down in the 20s? Do you think it's going to get down in the teens? I mean, heck, if everybody votes on this, it could get down to from 31% to 1%. Who knows? Comment below. Let me know. I'm interested in what you think about this. Do you think that the movie is going to be any good? I mean, who knows? It might be great. It might be the best Marvel movie ever made. We have no idea. Problem is, Bray's acting like a moron, and it doesn't make anybody want to give it a chance. So what do you think? Do you think it's going to be good? Do you think it's going to be a total bust? Do you think it's going to be mediocre? Do you think Black Panther is going to be better than it? Probably will. But what do you think? Comment below. Let me know. And as always, if you want to get future rants, reviews, and original content, click subscribe. Later.